Good morning, Dan. Well, it's Sunday morning in the Moran household. I figured I'd shoot this one for you. I'm not putting this up on YouTube, but if you want to see some Formictopus cancerides, this is one of the original females that I bought as a sling, I think about 6.5 years ago or so, maybe 5.5. I'd have to double check on that one. But started off as a little 3/4 inch sling, and as you can see, pushing 7.5 inches now. This is the first feed after a molt, and you can see the molt is right there. I will be getting her rehoused soon. I was using these critter keeper type enclosures for a little while for some of my terrestrials, but I honestly I'm not too keen on them. The plastic's fragile, and as you can see, she needs some more room here. But as far as that infamous temperament that you hear about them, you can see this girl right here is acting perfectly fine. They have fantastic feeding responses, but I haven't gotten a lot of the so-called nastiness that some people get. I've had people tell me that if you give them extra room that it somehow prevents it, but I can tell you right here, this one now, if we back up, look in the enclosure, I mean, it's a decent sized enclosure, but there's not a lot of extra room there. As soon as I open up the top, I'm right on top of her, and she didn't do anything but hunker down and behave herself. So not a large problem as far as behaviors I found with these guys, but they do have a fantastic feeding response. And I think that's some of what people get sometimes, is them basically reacting to the fact that they think they're going to get fed. But that girl right there is looking beautiful. Now, just know, I think you said yours was about 2 inches. They tend to put on the most size the most quickly the first year or so. So I had this one, excuse me, when she was 3/4 of an inch, basically hit 4.5 inches in the first year. The amount of, I believe it's around fourth or fifth instar or so, the amount of size they gain in one molt is just staggering. I mean, I've had one put on 3/4 of an inch and buff out completely. It's really amazing, and that's one of the things that people tend to comment on, is the fact that that growth rate early on is spectacular. However, once they hit around the 4.5 to 5 inch mark, they slow down a little bit. You'll get longer pre-molts, and it'll take them a little while longer to put on some size. And again, this one's, at least pushing 6, and she's finally at her adult size of probably about 7.5 inches or so. I will get that molt out in a moment, stretch it out and measure it, but I had a tape measure in there a minute ago, and she wasn't completely stretched out, and it was around 7 inches or so. So there's one of them. She'll be getting a new rehouse. I would love to do, sorry about this. This is like my old videos. If you're watching my old videos, I would like to do a bioactive enclosure with these guys, but I don't think it's going to work because they will chew the snot out of any plants you put in there. If you notice on these, I don't bother putting plants in the enclosure. It's not because I'm not trying to give them a nice, pretty place to live, but because they chew the leaves off. And this one here, you see slightly different coloration. You see some of those maroonish tones on her femurs. This was, when I bought it, called the Formictopus species purple, which is now believed to be it's just Formictopus. Some of them end up more purple than others. Unfortunately, they were commanding a higher price for slings that were supposedly purple. But you can see some of that purple sheen up there, but definitely as she got larger, some of that purple went away. But this is generally just one of the regular color variations of Formictopus. It's thought that cancerides. It's thought that the cancerides come in a couple different colors. So there you go, but actually I wasn't sure you're going to be able to see any of that purple, but that purple you can see on the carapace I've actually gotten on some of my other females that aren't considered to be the species purples. So this one's in need of a molt. She's not eating right now. You can see that. Abdomen is quite full. That little white spot right there, I will point that out because I've had many people panic over that one, and it seems to be normal for the species when they're in pre-molt. They get this little white kind of crusty area on the back of their, there's my dog snorts in the background, on the back of their abdomens. I've had several of mine get that over the years. The first time I saw it, I thought it was an abscess or something. They all molt out of it totally fine. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it does seem to be pretty unique to this species. So there's that one there. Again, I apologize. I've got Billy's doing some work here, so I don't have my camera woman today, so I'm doing it old school. And we got one more. This is a female I picked up from Jamie's Tarantulas after I got sick of waiting for my other. I was convinced my other two were going to end up to be male. I've actually had great luck with Formictopus species getting all females. I've had one male so far out of about 6 of them. There you can see that bronze coloration. I love the coloration on these, and I know some people say they're just big brown spiders, but they go through so many color changes as they mature, starting off as those blue slings. Then you'll get some purple on them. If you're fortunate enough, you get one of the ones that they would have considered a species purple that will stay and keep some of that purple as an adult. And the males are stunning. If you ever see a male Formictopus, you're not going to be sad to get one because they are absolutely beautiful, gorgeous purple. There we go. This girl right here. My other guys, actually, when I got her, she was a sexed female. and she's actually grown much slower than the other one. So I'm not sure if it was how she was raised earlier on. I was pumping the food to mine early on, so they grew very, very quickly. This one might have been fed less because it was, again, I got her, I think she was about 3 inches or so. So sometimes the ones from the dealers, they don't feed them as often, so they don't grow as quickly early on. But there you go, beautiful girl eating. And as you can see, calm as can be. I don't have an issue. And I'll tell you, I was actually looking forward to them getting cranky because that's all I heard about when I got into this genus of spiders. The Formictopus are really cranky. But and again, I'm not going to discount people that have cranky ones. I just haven't experienced it at all myself. And so beautiful spiders, very, very underrated. Get ready for yours to pick up. It's serious. Around that 2-inch mark, that might be the molt where it's going to pick up a lot of size. They do a couple molts right in a row where it almost looks like they double in size. It's really staggering. And expect that amazing feeding response. I've had these guys leap across an enclosure and roll over and fight roaches. It's just incredible to watch. So there we go for Formictopus cancerides. Hope this covers some of the things you're asking. Oh, one more thing. You see the water dishes over there. I use these because they tend to fill up and flip over their water dishes all the time, and sometimes when I reach in there to get them, that will trigger the feeding response. So what I will do is just drop in a new water dish, and I'll pull that one out in a minute while she's occupied with eating down here. It just makes it safer than trying to get in there with tongs when she's got her feeding response going. And as far as moisture, I do keep them moist until they hit around the around 3 or 4 inches or so. Then I'm not so concerned with it. They seem very, very adaptable, and I haven't seen any of them show any preference to the moist areas. In fact, I've had some avoid the moist areas. So I do occasionally, especially wintertime when it gets dry, moisten down half of the substrate, but they don't seem to care either way. It's not like they go hang out over it like they're craving moisture. And again, they usually just flip over their water dishes or fill them up with substrate anyway because they're constantly excavating. So there we go, Formictopus cancerides. Hope this covers the points you're hoping to hear, and we can correspond a little bit after I post this on the comment section.